The Redmi Note 7 was huge news when it was launched back in January 2019 because of its price and amazing specs for the price range. It boasts a great camera and a capable chipset, but more on that a little bit later. Here's our review of the very affordable mid-ranger. With this phone, Xiaomi continues to dominate the middle smartphone class. However, it is now priced even lower compared to other mid-range phones. For this money, you would probably expect a plastic device, but the Redmi Note 7 packs glass on both front and the back. Both sides are protected by the Corning Gorilla Glass 5 technology, and the plastic can only be found on the edges of the phone. Build quality is good, the phone is sturdy and sits in the hand very nicely. Xiaomi wanted to show how well made their phone is, so in their marketing campaign they used the phone as roller skates, and they have also placed it in a basket and threw it downstairs. We will definitely not do all this, but still, the phone can take it. The power button and volume rockers are all placed on the right edge of the phone. The fingerprint scanner is mounted on the back, and due to it the phone looks like many 2018 flagships. The Redmi Note 7 comes in several interesting color options: Space Black, Neptune Blue, and Nebula Red, which definitely looks gorgeous. Inside the factory box we can find user manuals, protective gel case, a fast charging adapter, a USB Type-C cable, as well as a SIM tray tool. Just like most other smartphones, this one also has a water drop type notch at the top of the display. This is simply a trend and you'll have to deal with it. This is a 6.3-inch IPS LCD display that reproduces 1080p Full HD resolution and has the aspect ratio of 90.5:9. The screen is very rich in terms of pixels, and the content shown is always perfectly sharp. Colors on the display are good, but not the best. We'd say average, with even some bluish hues. The brightness is also okay, and you won't have issues using this phone under direct sunlight. The results are not perfect, but they're good enough. Many Xiaomi mid-rangers use the Snapdragon 660 chipset, and it's the case with this model as well. It proved to be a very capable mid-range chipset that can perform all tasks without issues. During testing, we didn't notice any sort of weakness, and user experience is smooth and without any stuttering or lag. This chipset is built on a 14nm process, and it won't be too harsh on the battery. The phone comes in several memory options, with 3GB of RAM and 32GB of storage, or with 4 or 6GB of RAM paired with 64GB of internal storage. The memory is also expandable via microSD card up to additional 256GB. The main speaker of the phone is located on the bottom next to the charging port, and even though it produces mono sound, it is plenty loud and crisp. Directly out of the box, the Redmi Note 7 comes with pre-installed Android 9.0 Pie OS, over which there is the MIUI 10. This phone would be even better had it been attached to the Android One program, but sadly that is not the case, and you'll have to deal with the MIUI. Of course, this is only our opinion, but we think that the UI is way too complicated and it doesn't allow for many customization options. Let's not even talk about the ads we regularly receive from Xiaomi. On the other hand, there are some good features that we can't find on other phones, such as individual app locks, gesture navigation, etc. The main feature of this phone is probably its 48-megapixel main camera, which is paired with a 5-megapixel depth of field sensor. This camera works by employing the quad-pair array, which means that 4 adjacent pixels are connected into one in order to better capture light. Photos are therefore captured in 12-megapixel resolution, not in 48 megapixels, and even though 48-megapixel resolution is available in the Pro mode, we don't recommend it because an otherwise good camera becomes quite bad. Photos become too grainy, the nose goes through the roof, and many details get lost. In the Auto mode, with the AI mode turned off, the camera will capture good photos in which colors are realistically shown. There's plenty of details and there's almost no digital noise, even in shadowy parts of photos. Surprisingly, even nighttime photos are great, with not too much noise. We must say that we expected only average results from this phone, but we were left surprised. The portrait mode offers pretty much the same results. Because of the depth of field sensor, the edges are nicely separated from the subject, and even though it sometimes does make a mistake, end results are great more often than not. Selfie camera consists of a 13-megapixel f2.2 sensor, which also produces good photos that don't lack details. Sadly, it doesn't have any sort of autofocus, but it has wide-angle shooting. Videos are captured in maximum Full HD resolution at 30, 60 or even 120 FPS, and they are electronically stabilized. Other phones with this chipset often support 4K videos, but the Redmi Note 7 doesn't. Since the chipset is still capable of supporting such resolution, you can utilize it by downloading third-party camera apps from the Play Store. The Redmi Note 7 has a hybrid dual SIM card slot that can use either 2 nano SIM or 1 nano SIM and 1 micro SD card. Of course, it supports LTE connections, but it doesn't have an NFC sensor. Bluetooth version implemented into the phone is version 5.0, while the phone charges up through a USB Type-C connector. Who'd say, a Type-C connector in a €150 phone, while some manufacturers still equip their much more expensive mid-ranges with micro USB connectors. The battery found in this phone has the capacity of 4000 mAh, and it nicely rounds up the story of this phone. One thing that we didn't like is that Xiaomi has shipped only a 10-watt charging adapter with the phone, even though it supports 18-watt fast charging. If you want to use its full charging potential, you'll have to buy a fast charger separately. When it comes to autonomy, we are more than happy because this phone is capable of lasting 2 full days with around 8 hours of screen on time. Xiaomi Redmi Note 7 is a really good device which doesn't cost a fortune. It offered much more than we expected. The screen is decent, the chipset is plenty powerful for a mid-ranger, and the cameras capture more than just good photos. As we've already said, its autonomy is pretty good, and it's capable of fast charging, which is another big advantage. The only flaw we noticed with it is the user interface, which we simply don't like. We must once again say that this phone costs only around €150. That's the price for the cheapest Chinese 332GB version. For a global 464GB version, you'll have to stretch out a bit more and pay around €180, which is still a bargain for such a good phone.
So that's it. What do you think about this phone? Do you like it? Do you not like it? What is there to hate? Let us know here in the comment section below. If you like this review, leave a thumbs up.